Hi, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. Now what I want to do with some beeswax is turn them into something very valuable. So it only takes about 1 or 2 frames of cappings in order to make 1 ounce of beeswax. Nice clean beeswax, no bits and pieces in it, just ready to go. But what I'm going to do now is melt this down, and I'll show you the recipe that I use for making really high quality beeswax lip balms. Put it in I use a coffee can which I've made into shaped into a spout, and I'm putting this into a container of boiling water. Doesn't have to be boiling, but it wants to be darn close to it. And what I'm going to do first is melt down some of the wax. Now, while we are waiting for the wax to melt down, take a measuring jug, and you can use, what you're going to do is the ratio is 1 ounce of wax to 4 ounces of oil. And typically what I'm going to do is use maybe a couple of ounces of plain vegetable canola oil. The ratio doesn't have to be exact. And some olive oil, a higher quality oil. Now I don't use 100% pure olive oil, because so often the olive oil can impose a bit of a color onto it and quite a bit of flavor. So I'm going to put a relatively small amount of olive oil, so about 50%. Almost at the 4 fluid ounces. There we go. So 4 ounces of oil, 1 ounce of wax. What I'm also going to use is some vitamin E, capsules. That acts as an antioxidant, so it stops the oils going rancid, or at least delays it. I would say that your lip balms will have a shelf life of 9 months to a year. But when you're approaching that 9-month period, you may want to check it out just to see that it doesn't have a sort of rancidy sense to it. So this will last for roughly 9 months, I would say. Also, what I'm going to do is flavor the lip balms. It's more a matter of scent than flavor, but I've made a variety of lip balms. The only one I didn't make this winter was my wife's favorite, which was the grapefruit. It's an odd one to me, but there we go, grapefruit. So I'm going to use a grapefruit extract for this. Now we'll just wait for this to melt, and we'll come back to it. Okay, now the wax is melted, what we're going to do is add the vegetable oil. And you see what's going to happen is it's going to start to solidify the wax as it cools down that wax. So I'll pour some in and stir it up. So now it's gone all solid because it's cold. And so rather than pouring it all in at once, which would end up with one very solid clump of wax in there, I'll break it up and do it a bit at a time. And as that wax melts, it's mixing with the oil, and when it sets again, it's now a mixture of wax and oil. So that's just about gone, so I'll pour the rest of it in. You see it's done it again, but now the solids are a mixture of oil and wax. Once this is all mixed in now, the wax is thoroughly mixed with all of the oil. And when it sets, now it will be the consistency of lip balm. So easy to make. There it is, but we're going to do one more thing now. We're going to add the vitamin E and the flavoring. Okay, the vitamin E. I'll do here. Let's cut the capsule and squeeze it in. That's one. So that's the antioxidant, vitamin E added. And a little bit of flavor. About a teaspoon. See how it smells first. They smell good. Add a bit more. And we are good to go. Okay, so I've lined up my lip balm tubes with the windy thing at the bottom there. I've got 30 of them lined up, just in case. And this is where the pouring spout becomes handy. You're going to miss some. So some goes down the edges and things. It's okay if you spill a bit. Because it's okay if you spill a bit, because you can all wipes off very neatly. Oops. Helps have a steady hand. You see, it's starting to get cool in the tin itself, in the can itself. It's starting to form a little spout of its own. And soon it'll be too cold to pour, so I'll have to warm it up again. starting to get cool now. So we'll warm it up again. You see it's solidified on the sides there. With a bit of scraping, we'll get that back down. Oops. Now put the caps on. So these lip balms now, once they're cool enough, just turn this and it'll send it up. Let's see if I'm not going to do it right now. There's a bit of stuff on the outside here, so let's take a paper towel and wipe it off. It's ready to go. Nice. So what we've made here is 100% pure beeswax, local beeswax for that matter, handmade. So one of the great things about making lip balms is it gives you something to do with the bees during the winter time. Because during the winter, sort of kicking your heels waiting for the opportunity to play with the bees. But I'd recommend making your lip balms around about November, because the biggest market for your lip balms is going to be over the Christmas period. Certainly up here in Maine anyway. Now there's also a few other things you could do. I suppose if you look up online you can get various things to give it an SPF factor. So there's all sorts of things you can do with this. I do about 6 or 7 different flavors, and if you're in a holiday area, like one of my friends from the local town in Castine just stopped by while I was making these. Hello, Ted. And these are something that could sell in a town like Castine for easily between $3 and $5 a piece. This is all local beeswax, everything, all natural, no chemicals, that sort of thing. So really is a fun project to make, and you're making a very high value product very, very easily. And these lip balm tubes, I'd sell a pack of 30 of these for about 10 bucks. So these are really inexpensive to make. So for in the order of $10 in tubes, a bit of time to make the wax, and maybe 50 cents worth of oil, if that, 20 cents worth of oil, you're making what is in effect, we've made 30 of them here, so you're making between $90 and $150 worth of lip balms. So it's a great way if you're looking to bring in some return on your investment. It's a great way to do it. You can make more on lip balms than you can on honey, for that matter. Later on in future videos I'll show you about things when we've got more wax. We'll make things like candles, hand creams, and maybe a few other products. And then the other thing you want to do is label them. So I've simply printed these off here at home. Then once I've got these labels on, I'll put the plastic seal, shrink wrap seal around them, and that will stop the label ever coming off, and also is security. If they're sold in a shop, no one's going to be opening them up, trying it, and then putting it back. Another thing to remember is that you don't have to wait until you're extracting honey to get wax from the bees. When you're managing your hives on just doing a normal inspection, you're going to find that some of the every time you go in, you're going to trim a little bit of bridging comb. When the combs are parallel with each other, you've got bridges of comb, you've got bits sticking up, and all of this stuff tends to get in the way, and you tend to trim it off anyway. So don't throw it on the ground. Collect up those bits of wax. I would say that on average, when you go into the hive and do an inspection, you'll probably take an ounce of wax off the hives. Now typically that stuff's going to need more cleaning than cappings wax, but it will still make one of those, it'll make a good block of wax. It may not be an ounce, it might be half an ounce or something like that, but typically you will accumulate quite a few ounces of wax per colony by going into by saving those bits and pieces that you trim off the combs. So don't throw them away. First of all, it's a bad thing to throw them on the ground anyhow, because it's going to attract critters and promote robbing and potentially spread disease. But not only that, is you're throwing money away. Remember, 1 ounce of that wax, 1 ounce of that wax is going to make this many lip balms. If you're selling them at $3 a piece, you're throwing away, every time you throw all those cappies on the ground, you might be throwing away $100 worth of products that you can make some snowy evening in January. So don't throw it away. Keep the wax. Make use of it. Now what I'm going to do is do the final touch. And that is put the plastic sleeves on. So these are pre-made shrink wrap sleeves, made specially for the job, and all it takes is your fingers not being too cold to do the job. Put your sleeves on them. I usually do about 4 or 5 at a time. Let's do one closer up to the camera. And then take a hairdryer, heat them up. There we go. Finished product. So I'll just quickly get the rest of them done. That will be it. So there we have the finished product, 30 of them from a single ounce of wax. So it's a great way of making some extra money from your hobby. Sort of thing that you can sell just about anywhere and just about any time of year, though winter time is by far the best. So I hope you found that helpful. Future videos we'll do some more interesting product things that we can make out of the beeswax. But for now, I'm Peter Cowan, the Bee Whisperer. I hope you enjoyed that. See you next time.